Welcome to Flipping the Script on Education. Let's dive into the topic of classroom instruction. It is a foundational characteristic of teaching. So why is it that so many teachers, when asked how they present information to students, say, I teach it to them? And when we dig a little deeper by asking, well, how do you teach it to them? The typical response is small groups, one-on-one, whole group, and hands-on activities. What is crazy is that none of those are instructional practices. Most of those are groupings of students. Within those groupings, teachers are still the one holding all of the knowledge, and they're the ones telling the students what they need to know. This instructional method is called lecture. According to Edgar Dale's Cone of Learning, our students only retain 20% of what they hear, so clearly talking at them, regardless of how students are grouped, will only result in 20% of the information being retained. For activities to occur, students need to have been presented with information prior to the activity occurring. Typically, this is still done through lecture. And truth be told, activities tend not to be a daily routine in the classroom. There just isn't enough time to do activities every day, and who can realistically come up with that many different things for students to do? So if I can't say that my instructional practice is, quote, teaching, because that translates to lecture, and believe me, no one wants to say, I use an instructional method that is only 20% effective. What are some of the other ways teachers teach that are more effective? Let me begin with one that resonated with me the most. My instructional method of choice is project-based learning. When I thought back on my education as a child, I asked myself a very simple question. What do I remember most about my time as a student? The answer was projects. Then I moved to the question, why do I remember the projects so well? That answer was easy. I got to be creative. I decided that I wanted to give my students those memories with every unit, not just once a year or a couple of times during the year. The more I explored PBL, the more I saw it as an instructional methodology that I could use every day with every lesson. PBL is about application of information in a creative way. The comment I get when I start talking about PBL, though, with every unit all year is there's no way that I can do that. There just isn't enough time in the day to do that. And that is a true statement. To try and do it all, present information, have students take notes or record that information in some way, plus do a project, there is just no possible way. When flipped learning is added to the equation, though, all of a sudden, students have the time, teachers have the time to do everything necessary for PBL to be effective. Time is now on your side. One of the other reasons I became so passionate about PBL, though, is that it engages so many of the 21st century skills, as well as higher order thinking. Part of my class is centered around giving students a chance to talk about what they've learned. Going back to Edgar Dale's Cone of Learning, when students are able to talk about what they know, their retention goes up to 70%. And when students get to do something with the information that they've learned, that percentage shoots up to 90% retention. When students create something new based on the information that they have acquired, they are by far more engaged and reflective in their understanding of the information. Now, PBL isn't the only instructional method out there. Teachers are using ones such as mastery, gamification, inquiry, peer instruction, and even Genius Hour. I want to encourage you to look for something that will meet the needs of your students. If mastery or gamification or inquiry, etc., are all things you've never heard of, or you've heard of them, but you just don't really know what they are, I want to encourage you to take an afternoon and explore them. Each one engages students a little differently, and they all function in what is called active learning. When students participate in active learning, your classroom will go to a whole new level. Thanks for being here with me, and make sure to check out the blog post, The Method Behind the Madness. Don't forget, likes are good, sharing is better, but comments are awesome. Until next time, I'm Dan Jones, and this has been Flipping the Script on Education.